During my first triathlon, where I crossed the finish line as the first female, that was actually the moment where I thought, whoa, I might be good at this.
Get a call from her. I received the wildcard for T100 Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm very eager to test myself in the strongest field that's possible, and I think T100 is just top of the top.
Being here with Marlene De Boer has brought a lot of old memories back.
With working with the Kú family, got several overall age group wins. Yeah, we embraced the journey together.
I knew that Marlene could no longer continue as an amateur. She had to go race professional.
Kú and I parted ways.
It is painful, both for the athlete, but also for a brand. You're an age group world champion, and now you're becoming a pro. It's not that simple. When Marlene went to a new bike brand, and she was really fighting to get to that next level.
At that point I was in the stage of my career that I think I could do more on the bike.
I kind of knew the bike brand that she was riding, and I thought, she's leaving 15-20 watts on the table.
Above everything else, I want to get the best results, and that's sometimes difficult.
If you're jumping in one race car and you are limited by the car, or you jump in a new race car where you have better limitations, that's where you're comparing race cars.
For me, it was a bit like, where do we stand now?
And then you start to think, if she gets back on her bike, she can bridge the gap to world-class level. You know that last little gap is there for you to take, right? She says, what do you mean? Come back to Kú and we'll help you find 15 watts or more.
Hi, my name is Marlene De Boer. I'm a professional triathlete. I live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I'm part of the Kú family team. I started doing triathlon in 2019, but still on a very low level, so I did not have a coach at that point, and since then it all began. During my first triathlon race, where I crossed the finish line as the first female, that was actually the moment where I thought, whoa, I might be good at this.
Vito was going through old photos and I saw your age group photos. And I was like, that's what happened so in 4 years. Yeah. Was that 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah.
I should have skipped this breakfast buffet this morning, but besides that.
Get a call from her where she was over the moon ecstatic, and she says, I received the wildcard for T100 Las Vegas. I've seen Marlene's progress as an athlete in her preparation. Still, this is a very different ballgame.
Yeah, I'm very eager to test myself in the strongest field that's possible, and I think T100 is just top of the top.
First T100.
Oh, yeah, I'm just here to participate. Is it cold?
But it's hot outside, so it's
Yeah, we did just an easy swim. We arrived the day before, so I don't want to put too much pressure on myself and give my body the opportunity to just settle in and get used to the climate, the dry heat here.
Did you film that 3 missed flip turns?
Yeah, I saw
already.
I saw one where you were looking for the
I'm not lying, if you can make like a blooper video.
I saw you looking for the lane on the floor. Where's my lane?
At the beginning of 2021, that was the moment where I got introduced as beginning amateur athlete, possibly potential to get a bit better at this. My experience with working with the Kú family in the first 2 years, where I got to race age group, I had to learn a lot of things, and I think that Alex and Kú helped me out with that. Yeah, we embraced the journey together, got several overall age group wins, so that was very special, and the bike always suited me very good.
What a amazing view behind us over there. We see Las Vegas. It has a bit of a St. George feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does actually. Also the heat
And the dry, especially the dry heat, the climate here. No, it's really good to be back, and yeah, I'm happy to race here on Saturday.
Being here with Marlene De Boer in Vegas, warm, dry, sort of like it's brought a lot of old memories back from May 2022 when Marlene had qualified for the age group world championship.
It was only 2 years ago that we were here for the World Championships long distance. Yeah, and that was actually one of the highest points of my career at that point, but still now I look back at it as one of the best days of my life.
And somehow I'd been long enough around in the sport where I thought this could be her age group world championship, but it could also be Kú Cycle's first age group world championship. So that's where I joined her and her parents, and for an amazing experience down in St. George.
The win in St. George meant everything to me. Like my parents and Alex were there on that day for support. Yeah, it was so surreal and such an amazing experience, and I gained so much confidence in myself that day, achieving something what I never thought was possible.
She won the overall female age group title with 22 or 23 minutes on the second lady.
Yeah, I just had like the best day of my life. It was tough, it was hard and brutal, but still, yeah, that was really amazing.
So right at that time, I knew that Marlene could no longer continue as an amateur. She had to go race professional.
I'm excited. The water is very clear, and it's looking good. The surroundings are very pretty, like we're in a very pretty landscape. All right.
Leuk jongens.
Kú and I parted ways.
When you work with athletes, you hope that things continue for many, many years, but sometimes things work out or don't work out, or you can't agree on all the details.
Because I started as a professional triathlete and had expectations, and I think we were not on the same level at that point.
I feel at the stage that Marlene had a remarkable year 2022. Kú Cycle was still a baby. Marlene was learning. I had the impression that they wanted to spread their wing and maybe open up and find out how other bike companies would respond. We could not afford large amounts of cash sponsorship. Of course, we would have loved to support their professional journey. In a way, Kú Cycle was not ready for professional athletes, because in the first 2 years, we said we're going to dedicate all our time, effort and funding into age group athletes. We were just starting the Next Gen program, so there was sort of like a mismatch. We wanted to support more age group athletes and help build age group athletes and turn them into age group champions and then professionals. Marlene almost ran ahead of the curve.
I think it had other reasons than me not wanting to ride on the Kú bike, so that has never been a thing. But there were other reasons for separating our partnerships at that point.
It is painful, both for the athlete, but also for a brand. You like to continue that journey.
Of course, we focused on our own things, and I focused a lot on my own career as a professional triathlete. Yeah, I think we were happy to support each other.
It's how you say farewell that's also important, and we always stayed in contact and kept things very friendly.
Oh.
Good swim?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that swim. Like, it's very nice water. The water temperature is good. I think the temperature got a little bit down, so I expect it to be a wetsuit swim. Yeah, I'm excited to the moment, looking forward to the moment the gun goes off. Yeah, we just did a practice swim, and now we do a bike recon. Yeah, swim is very good. Let's see how the bike is. All right.
Well, with Marlene being such an important part of the Kú cycle history, my first Ironman World Championship, professional athlete, Chrissy Wellington, you never forget that. Once we were with Kú cycle, you're running your own product company. You're designing, producing, and manufacturing bikes. So to have your first age group World Championship, while you said, we'll make people faster, and within sort of like 18 months you achieved that goal, that's remarkable. Marlene continued her journey as a professional athlete. And the one thing that I could see in the first 12 months, I know that gap that you have to jump. You're an age group world champion, and now you're becoming a pro. It's not that simple. 80% of athletes cannot make that jump. When Marlene went to a new bike brand, and she was really fighting to get to that next level.
Yeah, and at that point I was in the stage of my career that I think I could do more on the bike. I've been improving a lot on all three disciplines. I think as an athlete I'm pretty all-round. Wasn't completely happy with my bike part.
The thing that was painful for me is, as a product developer and doing more aero testing probably than any other bike brand, I kind of like knew the bike brand that she was riding, and I thought, she's leaving 15, 20 watts on the table. That was not my concern at that time, but once Marlene, we got into 2024, I could see she was getting really stronger. She was getting to that next level, and then you start to think, if she gets back on her bike, she can bridge the gap to world-class level. And that's where it gets exciting for me.
Alex reached out to me and we had a good conversation, and yeah, that's where things got going, I think, and now we have a good agreement, and I'm happy to be back on the Kú bike.
So I made a cheeky phone call in May 24 and I said, Marlene, you know that last little gap is there for you to take, right? And she said, what do you mean? Come back to Kú and we'll help you find 15 watts or more. Marlene kind of like got intrigued but also concerned. She was halfway her season. Marlene said, Alex, my A race this year is early September in Almere, Challenge European Long Distance Championship. That's only like six weeks out, and we take 12 weeks to build bikes. She says, well, I have to test it at least. And I looked at the calendar and I saw there was an Kú Aero camp 6 days before the race. And I had a talk with Richard and with the production team, and I said, guys, I know normally we produce bikes in 12 weeks. Can we build one for Marlene in 5 weeks? And they said, it's a special, but we can do it. So I called Marlene and said, Marlene, bring your current bike. We'll put the devices on your bike, all the aero sensors, what we're doing every 2 months with 10, 15 athletes. And then we'll put you on your personalized TF1. And that became quite an experience. So Marlene went to her favorite fitter in the Netherlands, Dirk-Jan Lewis, from the bike fitter in Limmen. They went through the Kú fit, we got all the coordinates, and interesting enough, we found that she was on a slightly bigger size than she was riding in 2021 and 2022. She had, together with her fitter, figured out that she could go slightly longer and slightly lower.
Yeah, we did a new fit. Funny to see like the difference between my first bike and my position now on the bike.
Richard then got in contact with the fitter and they do the sizing of the TF1 frame. We rushed to build up the frame because to build a bike completely custom in 5 weeks, that's a big challenge. And we ended up on the velodrome early September. She went out on her current bike. Richard was actually a little bit pissed off with me because I said, let's take her on her current bike, let's put her on our TF1 and let's match. And he said, you know, what if it's really close? I said, well, then we got to make our bike faster again.
Tire pressure, Arturus? Yeah. Five.
What's very unique about Kú and the next gen and the pro team is
It is fun.
that it actually feels like family. I really love to enjoy working with the team. And it's so not only with Alex and Richard, the whole team around it. Yeah, it's are very passionate people that love our sport. Like we're in this together and we all love triathlon. Yeah, it felt good from the first time I was on the bike. I was a bit curious, like how does it feel when you're not, on a bike for almost 2 years? For me, it was a bit like, where do we stand now in a new position? But actually, from the first time, it felt very comfortable. And we did some tests and testing a baseline, and actually the results were really, really good.
On the very first run that she was on her own bike, she had a CDA. I believe it was around 0.244. She jumped for the very first time on the Kú TF1. We replicated as much as possible her position. She was a little bit lower. That was because on the current bike she couldn't get lower, the cockpit was locked out. Well, if you're jumping in one race car and you are limited by the car, or you jump in a new race car where you have better limitations, that's where you're comparing race cars. In this case, it's a triathlon setup. And lo and behold, on the very first run, she jumped on the TF1. It was already 15 watts faster. And then we did some further tuning and we got to 23 watts. And that's incredible. 23 watts on the level that Marlene De Boer is racing. We did a calculation together with Joe Spindler. We figured out on a half Ironman distance, that was 4.5 minutes. On a full Ironman distance, that was 11 to 12 minutes. And she had a race, the A race, 6 days later. And in my experience and having worked with a world champion coach, you don't change anything in your equipment, including your clothing, your underwear, your nutrition, in the last 4 weeks of a race. But 12 minutes, that's a lot. And by that time, Marlene had a really tough decision to take.
Yeah, it would make a difference in my race result, then that's something that above everything else. Like, I want to get the best result, and that's sometimes difficult to make that decision. And still I had a lot of confidence in the bike, being on it for 2 years, and it felt comfortable from the beginning. So
I told her, I said, you should really consider this because you could mess up your A race here. So she took it home and she trained again on Tuesday. She rode again on Thursday. She called me on Thursday night and she said, Alex, I'm going to race the TF1. I cannot leave 23 watts. An aerodynamic performance improvement of 13%. That's unheard of. You can't leave that. You can't leave that on the table.
And welcome to Challenge Almere Amsterdam, the European Long Distance Championship, as well as the Dutch Long Distance Championship. This is the 11th edition of Challenge Almere Amsterdam and the 43rd edition of the race being here in the Netherlands. It's also the 41st year of it being here in Almere.
Yeah, so Marlene decides to race the Kú TF1. There's a lot at stake. Everybody is a bit worried.
And they are away. So Challenge Almere Amsterdam 2024, the European Long Distance Championship, and our professional women are underway.
We all had a bit of heart palpitations on race day.
Professional women. Won't be long now before we see them exit the water and make their way towards transition and their bikes.
She came out of the swim in 3rd position, right behind Chloe Sparrow and Alana Sippert.
Great transition from Marlene. She's made up quite a bit of time. We know that she was just over that minute down.
And she played it really smart in the beginning. The Challenge Almere race is a bit technical. There's some left and rights. So she kind of like let them run out in the technical area.
But Marlene De Boer on second here last year. I know she wants that top spot this year.
And then once they came out of that section, I was watching the TV and she just put the turbo on.
yeah, I saw them riding in front of me, and that's where I got goosebumps. Like a new bike, although I only had it for 6 days, gives you a lot of confidence.
And you've got Marlene De Boer, of course, also pushing that big gear, even bigger than Alana's. So Alana's pushing a big gear, but De Boer pushing an even bigger
That's
gear.
where the wind kind of like hits the TF1. That's where the aerodynamic benefits come in. She flew by them. I had goosebumps. And it was sort of like that same experience like we had with St. George. and now not with the amateurs, but with the pros.
With these new technologies you were talking about, to adopt all of these, of course, they are having new shoes, all of that. How are actually you as a coach adopting to all of these?
For example, fantastic to see when an athlete gets a new bike and you see suddenly on their standard training loops or things that they normally do, and you see in training peaks that they are like 1 or 2 kilometers average faster just by changing their bike. You just see it straight away, hey? And of course you want to have the best for the athletes. They give their heart and soul every single day. So when it's there and you are able to get it, then you should go for it. You just the level is so big. So a couple of minutes is just, you can't lose time on material, eh?
Yeah, as an athlete, you just want the best result possible. Like, I invest so much of my time in training, in nutrition, and doing everything the best I can. And not only myself, but I have like a whole team around me, my boyfriend, my family. When you're doing sports on a level I do at the moment, then you make a lot of sacrifices for it. It's difficult. Like, you have like the agreements with people like sponsors, but at the same time, it's very individual, and I want the best possible, not only for myself, but also for the people that are close to me.
We had predicted that she would gain 12 minutes on the bike. Well, she took the lead, and where normally she would fall back to 7-8 position, she came in T2 with close to 10 minutes. We were off about 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, the bike part was very special. Like, I had a big lead out from more than 10 minutes to the second female. So
now she starts the marathon, and she has an advantage of 10 minutes. That was a complete new experience.
Wow!
Just incredible. And to think, you know, for a majority of a good chunk of that bike ride, she was out in front on her own, never even looking like faltering. Just ticking it over. And as I just said before, looking even better now in these dying kilometers than she did when she started.
And I think she realized, I can win this, and I can achieve her #1 dream.
Amazing. I mean, the feeling, the sheer feeling, the exhilaration that she must feel now as she enters the blue carpet.
European champion, Almere champion, and course record beaten by 10 minutes.
10 minutes! That's not even close. That's an absolute flogging of the course record.
Marlene De Boer.
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
I got first in Challenge Almere. Yeah, that was a very special moment. I'm seeing a lot of progress already this year, and yeah, focusing on the bike part, like what I said, I'm getting stronger, and I see that in training in terms of watts and endurance and everything. But yeah, that was like a dream day coming true.
She broke the Dutch national record. These are races that's why we're here. People get faster, people achieve dreams, people do things they never thought they were capable of. They have to do it. But as a bike company, if you can play a small part in that, that's a very gratifying experience.
The plan was to race Taupo, but get some rest after Challenge Almere to reload my battery a bit and then focus on the shorter distance. Well, that didn't happen actually. Like 1 week after Challenge Almere, I got an email from Dylan asking me if I would want to accept a wildcard for T100 Las Vegas.
To have gone through the bike change 6 days before the race, and for her then to receive that wildcard, that's where really athlete dreams become a reality. To be part of that and to then head out, just like we had done in May 22 in St. George, I basically said, Marlene, if you're going to take this wildcard, I'm going to join you again, and let's see what we can do in Las Vegas. It's a bonus race. It's a big opportunity. There's no pressure on your shoulder. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a bit like a circus. It's very special to be in the same hotel with all the other athletes. I've had a great season so far. I feel like I have nothing to lose and nothing to prove here other than showing what I'm capable and learning in this process of becoming a better professional athlete. So yeah, I think there's no better place to be than in Las Vegas at the moment. My thoughts about my race strategy are difficult. Like, to be honest, this is the first time for me racing in such a strong field, and the course is nothing like Almere, where I was in a position to make actually a very good race plan. To start with, to finish this race would be amazing. Like, all the exposure I got until this point already is so special and so amazing. If I cross the line knowing that I gave it all, and then that's a good result, I think. Yeah, what I expect for myself is just give it 100%. If I might be in last position at some point in the race, just keep going and give it my all and keep fighting for the best result possible. I'm excited for it. Kú really suits this course, and I got a little bit more time to get used to the bike, so I think all the lights are green for me having a good bike split there.
On your mark.
The the actual start was really good, but after a couple of meters, for the first time ever, I got a panic attack. So that was a bit of a surprise to me, and that moment I first thought was, well, my race is over, get me out of the water.
I think this is my lane.
I tried to keep calm, I did some breaststroke. Unfortunately, it was with the third group. That was never the plan. Like, my swim form is actually really good at the moment, so to start with, I was very happy to get on the bike, like survive the swim and just forget about that. Once on the bike, I actually felt great, and we've been talking about that. On this bike, on the Kú bike, I feel that I'm actually competitive, like also in like the best fields possible. It was amazing, amazing experience. Like, every lap I felt stronger. Now, although this course was really up and down, so it was still pushing high watts and then in a descent again recovering a bit. But yeah, me and my coach Yvonne have been focusing on the long course the entire year actually. So what I noticed is that it takes me some time to warm up. My body is a really diesel, I think, real diesel. So yeah, I know that once I'm starting that I can keep going, and that's what I experienced on this course and with the laps. That it takes me some time, but on the bike I felt that I had good legs, and I actually got into the race while cycling. That was a bit brutal, like we knew in advance that this front course is brutal. I think coming from the Netherlands where everything is flat and not focusing a lot on hill wraps this year, I've done what I could. Like, I left it all out there, I raced with my heart. Unfortunately, I could not gain a lot of positions. That's what I hoped, but I kept around the same position, and I think I can be proud of that. Like, of course, I will leave here feeling that there's more to gain, and maybe with a little bit more time focusing on this distance still. But yeah, I raced with my heart, and I learned a lot.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that I got this opportunity, and of course it leaves me with wanting more and wanting to improve myself and be better and do better. But I think this is the reason why you should take this wildcard. I'm really grateful that I got on for this race, and it was worth it all, like the travels to Las Vegas, and we did a bit of panic training this last 3 weeks. But I have to keep in mind that I did like 2 Ironmans in 4 weeks and a 70.3. It's been already a long season, so I raced 4 full distance races. Yeah, my confidence is growing, and I feel that I can be competitive. The bike itself, like I showed today again, that I can be competitive on this bike, and I gained like a lot of time after a pretty crappy swim, got me back into the race, at least in around top 10 position. Besides that, like working with you, with Richard, but also with Gaston from video team, really feels like a warm welcome. And I got so many messages also from cool athletes that they are welcoming me back, are honored to have me back in the team again.
To be here, to see Marlene and her professionalism in her preparation, together with the media team, Gaston Garde, with photographers, that's really special. To see Marlene being supported also by her boyfriend Lucas. So now you have a little team that surrounds an athlete. That's a very different way for an athlete to walk around in such a big circus, on such a professional level. I think that's important, because triathlon, we think it's an individual sport, it's not. On the highest level, it's very much a team sport. An athlete alone, social media, branding, your finances, the athleticism, your training. She's had an amazing season. She achieved her goals already, and it's just amazing to see Marlene back on a TF1.